Hey everyone, Chris Patterson here with your Monday Motivation. And today I wanted to talk about something that I don't think we deal very well with in America, and that is how to deal with failure. When we experience failure, it can be overwhelming, it can feel defeating, it can feel like the weight of the world is coming down on our shoulders, whatever the failure may be. When we feel failure, it can literally feel like we have no purpose. And so, how do we deal with failure? How do we respond to failure? You know, those failures that we experience, we might experience those failures in a job. We didn't get that dream job that we are qualified for, or we've gone to school for, or maybe you didn't get the promotion that you deserved, the promotion that you were expecting. It could be in sports, right? You didn't make the team, you didn't make the varsity team, you didn't get into college for a sport that you were hoping, you got some scholarships for, music or school, you didn't make first chair, you practiced for hours on hours on hours, and you still didn't get that spot in the school musical, or you didn't get into the school you wanted, you didn't get the grade you wanted, you didn't do well on the test. Failure can even happen in our relationships. A failed relationship can be, at times, some of the worst failures that we experience in our lives, whether it's through divorce or a breakup or an estranged relationship between a parent and a child, between friends who have just grown apart. So, how do we respond to these failures? And why does the United States not do a great job of responding to these types of failures and any other type of failure that one can experience? I don't think that the United States responds well to failure for a number of different reasons. And a couple of those are, if you've been involved in youth sports at all, I'm a coach, and youth sports have done a really bad job of creating a participation award culture where just by participating, you've done a great job. Now, don't get me wrong, I believe that it's important to participate in athletics and in music, and I believe that young kids especially should be recognized for taking that leap forward and participating. But you don't get a trophy. You don't get a trophy for coming in 10th place. Get a pat on the back. But in the United States, we give trophies for 10th place. We give ribbons for 12th place. Everyone gets a trophy. And I truly believe that kind of mentality has impacted the way we deal with failure, because for those of you out there that have worked, you're adults, you're out there in the workforce, you know that there is no participation award in life. You either get the promotion or you don't. Your marriage either is successful or it fails. You either get the scholarship or you don't. And I think that's negatively impacted our ability as Americans, as American children, to respond to failure in a positive way. The other thing that I think has impacted our ability to respond to failure appropriately, especially in the United States, is kind of the exact opposite, and that's the idea that if you're not first, you're last. You know what? Sometimes there's just someone out there that is better than you, right? Sometimes relationships are not meant to succeed. Sometimes relationships are toxic and they need to end, and it's not that either person is in the wrong, it's just not a good relationship when those two people are better. Sometimes, right, there's someone out there smarter than you, more athletic than you, more skilled than you, and that's just reality. You can try your hardest, you can do your very best. I mean, you can achieve and perform at your highest ability, and sometimes it's not enough. And so the idea that if you're not first, you're last is also a false ideology, in that not a lot of people can live up to that. Not a lot of people are super athletes. Not a lot of people are just naturally very smart. And by having that mentality that if you're not first, you're last, in reality, for the majority of your life, you're going to feel like a failure, because none of us are first all the time. In fact, we're first a very small fraction of the time. And so that idea that if I'm not always winning, then I'm really a loser, also negatively impacts Americans' response to failure. So how ought we respond to failure? The first thing that I oftentimes tell people that I'm involved with, whether I'm coaching them in writing or I'm coaching them in athletics or I'm coaching them in music, is that we need to understand that failure is simply a stepping stone on the way to success, right? Every single failure is an attempt at something. And by attempting something, we get much closer. It's like building a wall, and if you build a couple levels of bricks and all of a sudden you find out that last level that you put on there just isn't quite even, and you take it down and you correct whatever inadequacies are in the building, you don't have to tear the whole wall down. And even if you do have to tear the whole wall down, maybe there's something in the ground that shifted under the weight, and now you can compensate for that. So failure, the first way that I think we need to respond to failure is understanding that when we have a failure, it's simply a stepping stone on the way to success. It's a learning moment. And if we don't learn from our failure, then that is true failure. Every time we have a setback, every time we have a failure, we don't get first, we don't get the promotion, we don't get the scholarship, our book doesn't get picked up, an agent doesn't like it, we get a negative review on Amazon, right? There could be, and oftentimes there is value in that. What can we improve on? What can we do better? Maybe we're supposed to be moving in another direction, right? Maybe life, God, the universe is telling us to shift gears and go in another way. Whatever the case may be, understanding that we have a learning opportunity when it comes to failure is very, very important. And if we don't learn from our failures, then that is true failure. It's interesting, I oftentimes talk to my athletes, and one of the main kind of motivational talks that I oftentimes give my athletes is this idea of true champions, or a true champion is not the person who wins all the time. It is the person who has the ability to get knocked down and get back up again, right? Failure is a part of that equation. Failure is a part of a person who does actually end up winning in whatever it is, life, relationship, sports, school. So true champions are not the people who are always winning. In fact, sometimes I'm a little concerned when I have someone who is, looking to become a better athlete or a better writer or even a better student, and they've never experienced any sort of setback. Because they've never experienced those setbacks, how are they going to respond to failure? And so true champions are made when you get knocked down and you can, that old saying, pull your bootstraps up. In a way, yes, pull your bootstraps up, get back up again, and keep moving forward. How do we respond to failure positively? Start to respond to failure differently. Understand that failure is not losing. Understand that failure is not the end of the world. Understand that failure is not the end of your journey. Failure is a learning opportunity. And by failing, we have the ability to learn from our mistakes, learn about the society around us, learn about the people around us, and move forward in a more effective and more successful way. Respond to failure like a lot of the world around us responds to failure, not necessarily our American culture of participation awards or you're a loser if you don't take first. Respond to failure in a way that understands that as we fail, it means that we are continually improving ourselves and that we're continually trying and that we are attempting to do our very best. Recognizing that sometimes our very best isn't what is needed, which means we can go back and we can continue to improve ourselves. So I challenge you guys out there in whatever it is, whatever scope, whether it's your relationships, whether it's school, whether it's athletics, whether it's your writing journey. Understand that failures, yes, they're setbacks, Failures can be hurtful. Failures can feel awful. But understand that that's not the end of your journey. Understand that those failures are simply stepping stones or rungs in the ladder on your way to success. So this is Chris Patterson with your Monday Motivation. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell for the notifications, make sure you check out my Amazon page and my website, and I will see you guys next Monday.